This episode contains mature content. See the episode description for details.
I am a folklorist. Recently in my career, I've become intrigued by stories of large spectral dogs that appear to certain individuals, often serving as a portent of disaster. Such creatures have long been encountered in Great Britain. In Lancashire, it is called Shrieker. In Yorkshire, the Barcast. No matter the name, these apparitions often herald a kind of spiritual crisis, as though they are drawn exclusively to the lost and the damned.
Spoken Signal Audio Drama presents Black Dog Anthology by Robert Arnold. Episode 5, The Poisoned Land.
Right in here, sir.
Thank you.
The journal is laid out on the table and is open to the first page. We ask that you wear these gloves while handling it.
Of course.
I have laid out a pencil and pad for you to use for any notes. No ink is allowed in the archive room. Do you have pens or markers in your pockets?
No.
Good. Is there anything else I can help you with before I leave you to do your research?
May I ask how the library came into possession of this journal?
We're a university library, Professor. I'm sure you know from your own institution that people will try to donate anything and everything they find in their grandparents' attic. Well, sometimes there's a gem in all that dross.
But this writer has no particular historical significance.
True, the man himself may not. But a fully preserved, handwritten journal from the early 20th century is certainly worthy of a place in our collection, even if it does contain some pretty obvious fabrications.
I understand.
But will there be anything else?
No, I don't believe so. Thank you again for your help.
Of course. I'll be right outside if you need anything.
Well then, Mr. Whitlock, let's see what you have to say.
This is the account of William Terence Whitlock. I'm not particularly adept with the written word, nor do I consider myself a skilled teller of tales. But the experience I have had is so incredible that it seems to me it ought to be recorded, preserved, in the hopes that some future reader may be able to understand, explicate, or at the very least, share a warning of that which is contained in its pages. Ever since I was a child, I have been keenly aware of my own sinful nature. The priest reminded us of it every Sunday, then went on to demonstrate it himself through the sins of gluttony and intemperance. The nuns, who operated the orphanage, where I spent the better part of my childhood, offered daily lessons on this same theme. In the end, I heard so often of man's essential wickedness that I suppose I came to both believe it and accept it. Upon leaving the orphanage and striking out into the world, I began working odd jobs, learning as I went. I became skilled, but never remained stationary long enough to acquire an expertise in any one trade. Instead, I roamed from place to place, working as I could, scratching out whatever meager living was to be made with my two hands and my wits. My partner and companion in these wanderings was my cousin, Amos. Cousin, I called him, though between us, there was no bond of blood, only that of growing up side by side in the orphanage, enduring together the worst of the sisters' abuses as they sought to browbeat us onto the path of righteousness. Paid you our wages, did he?
Yes, William. He paid out exactly as agreed.
Well, that's good then. All right, we best be getting along.
William, what are you doing with them tools? You loading them into your pack?
Hush now. It's none of your concern.
But those don't belong to us.
Sure they do. Don't you look at me like that, Amos. Remember what I told you. We do what it takes to survive. Amos and I wandered the region, roaming from house to house, looking for work. And one day, we came to a decrepit farm belonging to an old man named Carter.
Yes?
You Carter?
Who's asking?
They told us in town you was looking for some help.
You two are hired men?
Can be. Yes, sir.
You got any experience working the land?
Some. And we're fast learners.
The farm ain't produced much since I hurt my leg. Now I'm too damn frail to tend to it. Still got plenty of the old connections, though. Now, if you boys work the land, I can take care of selling the crops.
Yes, sir. That'll be just fine.
Pay us 30 cents an hour. Now, that's for the both of you. You can feed yourselves from whatever you grow in the garden. Sundays are for church and resting, but you'll work the other 6. You got a place to stay?
No, sir.
Well, you can sleep out in the barn. It may not stay perfectly dry when the rains come down, but it'll give you a soft place to lay your head. How's that sound to you, young fella?
Amos?
May we start right away, sir?
With little else but the sweat off our brows, Amos and I set about reviving the Carter farm. The work was hard, backbreaking. The fields had gone to seed and had to be torn up and completely replanted. But the soil beneath was good, and the weather that spring was nothing short of a blessing. And along the way, the old man taught us the fundamentals.
Whoa there, Bessie.
It's all right. You just be gentle with her now. See? There you got it. Now that's good. Now you gotta milk her twice a day if you want to keep her producing. Otherwise she'll dry up on you. If you keep her on schedule, though, keep her fat and happy.
After months of work, we began to see the fruits of our labor. Once the harvest got underway, the old man, who fancied himself shrewd at business, would drive the yield into town and return in the evening, boasting of the value he was able to get from it.
83 cents a bushel for the wheat today, boys, and 76 for the corn. Why, this farm is back in business.
As our skills increased, so did the yield, and so did the farm's income. Our wages, however, did not.
It's a little drier in that corner, I think. I'm going to move my bedroll over.
Mm-hmm.
You've been awful quiet these past few days, William. Something eating at you?
It's that old Carter.
What about him?
Them prices he's always bragging over. I just can't help but wonder about all that money he's getting. Where's it going?
He's been putting it back into the farm, I expect. That new 3-bottom plow must have cost him a pretty penny.
Not that pretty. Ought to be a good amount left over. Makes me wonder if that old buzzard ain't keeping more than his share.
Well, Even if he is, what of it? We done made our deal with him.
Deals can be renegotiated, Amos.
What are you gonna do?
Same thing we always do. Whatever it takes to survive. Mr. Carter?
Eh? Yes? Oh, come in, William. Well, you certainly are dressed to the nines this evening. You heading into town?
Yes, sir. Amos and me are going to the picture show.
And hoping to meet a few nice girls while you're there, no doubt. Well, I suppose that means you'll be wanting your wages for the week. All right, then.
Mr. Carter, I've been wondering.
Have you?
Yes, sir. Amos and me, we've been working hard for you for the better part of this year, ain't we? And we've been damn successful, if you excuse me, sir. Why, with the wheat selling the way it has been...
I see.
You do?
Oh, yes. I see it all too clear. You put on your Sunday best. You come knocking at my door with these grand notions in your head, and you think, what? That I'll be inclined to give you a handout.
I ain't asking for no handout, sir. Just simple fairness is all.
Fairness. Is that what you call it?
Yes, it is. I don't see why Amos and me shouldn't benefit from this farm's success.
Oh, so you've promoted yourselves to partners now. Is that it? And the work my family put into this place, the decades of hard work, that means nothing to you, I take it?
Your family's been dead and in the ground for years, Mr. Carter. They ain't got no more use for money.
I could send the two of you packing tonight and have 2 new men, 2 more capable men in my employ by noon tomorrow.
I suppose you really believe that.
Believe it? I know it for a fact.
Look at you, living in these nice, comfortable rooms while you got the two of us pinned up out in the barn like livestock. Ain't we earned our places in this house, you old skinflint? Ain't we worked for it?
Here, take your money. Get out of my sight. I suppose I shouldn't expect any better from 2 boys with no parents to raise them.
You can keep your money, you old bastard. And you can have this besides.
Oh! Get out of my house. I mean it. I'm getting my shotgun.
No, Mr. Carter. You ain't. Amos, get up.
Huh? William? Did we miss the picture show? Why didn't you wake me?
Listen to me. Something's happened. Old Mr. Carter's passed on.
He's passed on?
Yeah. Which means we got us a coffin to build. Come on. And, bring your things. We're sleeping in that farmhouse from here on out. We buried the old man behind the house, right there in the soil he professed to love so much. I did everything I needed to do. I made a report to the constable. I let him look over the body before it went in the ground. Thankfully, it betrayed no telltale signs of its last moments, and the constable was satisfied that the frail old man had simply given up the ghost. I talked to the lawyers. They told me that Carter had a few relatives, but they lived far away, and it would be up to them whether they wished to lay any claims to the farm. And in the meantime, Amos and I continued living and working there, and the townsfolk left us in peace. Thankful, I suppose, that someone was tending to the place. And whether it was a natural talent for negotiation or whether the old man wasn't any better at selling than a novice like me, I found it a simple matter to secure comparable prices for the crops Amos and I were harvesting.
I can offer 85 cents for each bushel of wheat and 73 for the corn, Mr. Whitlock. How does that suit you?
It suits me just fine, sir. It was around that time Amos acquired for himself a large black dog that became his constant companion. I know not how he encountered or befriended it, but the dog soon became a fixture at the farm, its rough bark echoing across the fields. Amos named the creature Caleb.
Caleb! Here, boy!
The animal seemed to have little regard for me, and in fact was agitated and standoffish in my presence. But it clung to Amos as if that man had hung the moon. Get that thing away from the table, will you?
No, he's just begging for his dinner. Just hoping for a couple scraps. Like the two of us used to have to do, William. Ain't that right, boy? Huh?
We went on like this for a time, living in the old man's house, our house now. Amos and I continued to work the fields, though I soon discovered that we could afford to bring in a few temporary men of our own. It seemed that fortune had at last smiled upon us. Yet, despite this, and despite the comforts of the farmhouse, my sleep became troubled. I found myself waking throughout the night, propelled from slumber by unpleasant dreams. Over my protestations, Amos began allowing Caleb to make his bed inside the house. Normally, the beast slept in my cousin's room, but now and again, I would wake to find it seated just outside my door, as if watching me. Upon seeing me stir, it would turn and trot back to Amos's room. Now, this strangeness and the lack of sleep made me short and irritable with my cousin, who, for years, had been my best and only friend. Hand me that mallet.
You reckon Mr. Carter would have tried to repair this old wheelbarrow? Or you think he would have traded it in for a new one by now?
How should I know? What are you doing worrying about that old miser anyhow?
I just wonder, is all.
Well, all you're wondering ain't fixing a damn thing. Hand me that mallet, I said. One night, with sleep again proving elusive, I rose from my bed and began to wander around the house. In the course of my meanderings, I happened to look in on Amos, snoring peacefully in his bed. I also saw that the dog, Caleb, who typically slept on the floor at the foot of the bed, was awake. Not only that, but the creature had climbed halfway onto the bed and was standing over Amos, its forepaws on his shoulder, and its muzzle leaned down near his head. And as inconceivable as it sounds. I swear, the beast was whispering into my cousin's ear. When the dog saw me, it straightened, yawned, and returned to its place on the floor. The next morning, I would try to justify the sight as nothing more than a nightmare. But in the moment, I knew with a horrible certainty that what I had witnessed had been quite real. As the weeks went on, a change came over Amos. Though typically quiet and stoic around others, he was always garrulous with me. But now he had become withdrawn, and his eyes, when he looked at me, were strange, sunken and accusing. He did his work as diligently as ever and gave me no cause for complaint. But it was only in those hours he spent with Caleb that my cousin seemed happy.
Come on, boy. Come on, let's go.
Ain't you coming in for supper?
We'll be there by and by. Here, Caleb.
Thus, as the autumn waned, I found myself isolated and alone. At the same time, recent events had begun linking together in my mind to form a suspicion. An idea that I dared not breathe, not even to myself. But it was enough to make me wonder whether my cousin could still be trusted.
Hush, it's all right. What is it, William?
Season's changing. Things are bound to get lean over the winter. It's best to plan on tightening your belt.
We've stored up some vegetables and some salted meats. That ought to be enough to get us through.
That's right. Us. Won't be enough left over to feed an animal. You hear me?
What is it you're saying?
It's time for that dog to go.
But you can't. You can't make me send Caleb away.
I ain't making you do nothing, Amos. I'm telling you, we ain't gonna have enough to feed another mouth.
That's a lie. If we can manage to feed the cows, the chickens...
Cows and chickens eat grass and grain. That dog needs meat. And we ain't got enough to go around.
No. I won't do it. You want to send him away? You're going to have to send me away too.
You damn fool! You mean to tell me, after all these years, suddenly you don't trust my judgment? Ain't I the one that's been taking care of us? Didn't I get us all set up here running this place?
Yeah. And I know how you did it too.
You don't know nothing. I only did what it took for us to survive. Same as I've ever done.
I expect you really believe that. You sick, selfish bastard.
Hey! Don't you walk away from me!
Come on, Caleb. We ain't wanted here.
Well, go on then! Get out! The both of you!
Caleb! Come on!
That's about the last of your barking I'm gonna take, you filthy beast.
Caleb!
You hear me? Get out of my house! I said get out!
No, don't!
And with that plea still fresh on my cousin's lips, and a blood-red fury clouding my eyes, I emptied both barrels of the shotgun, one into my cousin's companion, the other into the man himself.
I buried Amos and his dog in the cornfields, in 2 spots where the disturbed earth would attract no notice. I expected few questions about him, and received few. Unlike old Carter, Amos was not a native son, so the townsfolk didn't concern themselves beyond a few mild inquiries.
That wheat ought to come up nice for you next summer. Hate to charge you so much for the seed, but prices are up all over, as you know, Mr. Whitlock. Mr. Whitlock?
Yes, sir. That's fine.
All right, then. Say, what's become of that cousin of yours? Haven't seen him around lately.
No, sir. He's, moved on. Throughout that hard winter, I huddled near the stove, alone in the cold farmhouse. There was little to be done other than some minor repairs and the standard preparations for spring. I saw a few people and spoke to even fewer. Instead, I passed many nights hunkered down in that house, listening to the wind, for hours sometimes, and after a time, every so often, I fancied that I could hear spring came, but the winds never let up. In fact, they grew even harsher and more unpredictable. As the weeks went on, I discovered that the farm's topsoil was being sheared away, and whatever seeds I attempted to plant could find no purchase in the roiling ground. Through it all, through these months of whirling, lashing storms, I continued to hear. And then came the worst of it. Huge dust storms began blowing in from the west, engulfing the entire farm in an impenetrable, abrasive fog. The money I'd saved had begun to dwindle, and yet I could still not plant, could not seed any crop that might provide me a harvest that year. The strange sounds outside the farmhouse only increased in frequency. Often, they would rise up in the dead of night, among the dark and the wind, as if something out there was searching, pleading for a response. And then one night, with the farm in the grip of yet another infernal dust storm, that response finally came. No. It can't be. It can't be. You get out of here. The both of you. Get out of here and leave me alone. Her request was heeded that night. But the next night, the voices returned. And the night after that as well. Eventually, I understood that my cousin and his companion would never lie quietly in their graves. And so, racked with anger and desperation, I grabbed a shovel and I charged out into the clouds of dust, determined to evict those wandering spirits from my farm forever. As Amos and Caleb searched for one another, I made my way through the dust and into the fields. where I began to dig. Why had I not buried them together, and as far away from this land as I could? Was it some last foolish act of defiance? Jealousy? Either way, it was a mistake that I was determined to correct. I dug. First, I came upon the body of the dog, rendered mostly skeletal by the months underground. His grave was shallower than I remembered, but there was no mistaking that long snout filled with jagged teeth. My digging for my cousin, however, produced not human remains, but what appeared to be the bones of a second dog. I dug further and found another, and then another. No. With a fury bordering on madness, I began turning up the other areas of the farm as well. Everywhere I dug, in the fields, in the garden, even against the walls of the house, I unearthed the bones of dogs. Dozens of them, perhaps hundreds. It seemed to me the land was covered with them. It was then that I realized that creature had bested me. Winds are calm, drought or rain, nothing would ever again grow in this boneyard. The land itself had become poisoned. Shortly thereafter, I packed a few belongings and I set out on my way, abandoning the farm to the spirits who dwell there. And to this day, many years later, I have not set foot in that region again, nor do I intend to. For though I think of my cousin often, and I hope that his restless wanderings have come to an end, my own words to him echo in my ears. We do what it takes
to survive.
I thought I'd check in on you, sir.
Oh, thank you. I was actually just finishing up.
Did you find what you were looking for?
I believe so, yes. Give me a moment to close out my notes, and I'll be on my way. Some reflections on the narrative of William Terence Whitlock. That which is buried in earth remains forever a part of the earth. Whether it sustains its composition or decays into its underlying elements, its presence lingers there in the soil for good or ill, enriching or polluting. Similarly, that which is buried inside each of us remains a part of us. Even if the years bury it deeper still, even if time decomposes it out of our memory, the elements of our past remain forever within.
It's a fascinating tale, isn't it?
You've read the journal?
Oh, of course.
And how do you account for its contents?
An amateur attempt at narrative fiction, perhaps? A flight of fancy? Maybe it's a tall tale about the coming of the Dust Bowl.
I didn't realize the Dust Bowl extended this far east.
Regardless, it reads to me like an attempt to explain something the writer himself didn't fully understand.
Perhaps that's the case with every story. I think I have what I need. I appreciate your assistance today.
Episode 5 of Black Dog Anthology was written by Robert Arnold and featured the voices of Rodney Rastall as the Folklorist, John Dylan Atkins as William, Christopher Tracy as Amos, Ron Gephart as Carter, Bill Short as the Archivist, and Chris Jowers as the Merchant. Principal dialogue recorded by Mike Wilson at Archer Recording Studio in Memphis, Tennessee. Music by Eric Jorgensen. Sound effects by Robert Arnold, with additional sounds from soundstripe.com and freesound.org. Artwork by Derrick Dent. Special thanks to Chris Jowers. Assistant directed by Karen Strawn. Produced and directed by Robert Arnold. This is your announcer, Erin Calaway. To learn more about Spoken Signal audio drama, hear our other productions, and get in touch, visit us at spokensignal.com.